welcome to Minot Talk. This Tuesday morning at 9:02 a.m. Just to prove that we're not like everybody else.
Yeah.
We like being a minute late.
Yeah,
2 minutes
fashionably late here.
Yeah. We don't hold to those
standards that
those
like the
old time standards of
TV
TV
industry would have.
I tell you
Gosh.
what, it's good to have.
We're podcasters. I tell you what.
It's good to have Alderman Rob Fuller with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah.
Love the Dodgers hat.
Thank you. Got to represent. I mean,
we'll talk about that. But what could you do with an evening that you haven't had in months? A first Monday of the month that you had a city council meeting go for an hour and
less than an hour and a half.
Less than an hour and a half.
I think it was an hour and 10 minutes or an hour and 12 minutes
Something
if you want to
like
be specific.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
It was.
Good job.
Well, thank you. I mean, I don't feel like it was anything necessarily that I did.
For sure.
The first meeting I went to in like 2 months and it wrapped up that fast. I was shocked. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to have those. Obviously, coming out of the budget season, there's a lot of longer meetings in there because there's a lot of things we got to talk about and work through. So, I mean, having those nicer, shorter meetings, to your question, what did I do with my evening? There was a little bit of discussion afterwards. You kind of mingle around and have some talks with people in the audience or other council members or whatever, city staff. And then I went home, and my wife was getting the kids ready for bed. We went and put the kids to bed and said prayers with them. And, then her and I sat down and we're talking about some other stuff and sat and watched TV. I mean, again, normally you're getting home at 9:30, 10 o'clock over the last couple months from city council meetings. So it's nice to...
Almost 1 a.m. that one time.
Well, that was an outlier. I don't, I mean, that was a big meeting.
Yeah, it was.
So last year around this time, we were able to pull a Halloween picture.
No.
It was a good one.
Yeah, I know what you're going to do.
Is it his turn?
No, should we?
No.
I didn't dress up this year, so I don't know
say that.
Okay,
that's a good idea, Kyler.
You don't even have it, so it's fine. No, you're not readily available. But anyways, what were you going to do with that comment?
I was just going to ask him if he dressed up for Halloween, but we'll also make sure we get Kyler's Halloween picture by the end of the show.
I did dress up for Halloween. I was a middle-aged white man walking my children around the neighborhood freezing.
Well, that's controversial.
To some people, it probably is.
Halloween, the day of, was not a pleasant night.
Well, kids got home, they went to karate, which they do in the afternoons after school, and then come home and get their costumes on and everything else. And I'm, put my, not winter coat on, but like an insulated coat on and a beanie and gloves, and I'm walking around the cul-de-sac, and, my kids are 8 and 7 now, almost 9 and 7, and they're always like, "Oh no, Dad, it's fine. We're not cold. We're not this." 3 houses in, my oldest one looks at me and he's like, "Yeah, we can be done after the cul-de-sac, Dad." And I said, "Are you sure, bud?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's cold." I said, and they had their coats on, we're not the guys that let the kids go out without coats and everything. We had their coats on and their hoods up with their costumes over them. But so there wasn't a ton of trick-or-treating. And then, it was kind of fun because we sat down and we put the World Series game on. And Tripp was like, my oldest son was like, "Well, can I answer the door and hand out candy?" And we're like, "Yeah, great." Perfect. I don't even have to get out of my chair, perfect. And so he did that all night. And I got to just share this. There was and 8, 9-year-old kids, sometimes they're a little awkward and shy and whatever, right? And I guess my kids aren't like that. But, go figure, right?
Very outgoing.
Tripp's answering the door, and you listen because you want to make sure nothing strange or weird is going on. Yeah. So he opens the door, and you hear these voices go trick or treat, and you can tell they're like high school kids or whatever. Yeah. Didn't think nothing about it, but. Apparently the one kid was dressed as a vampire, and he looks at Tripp after Tripp gave him candy, and he goes, "Hey man, I hope you have nightmares tonight."
Oh no!
Yeah, and Tripp, to his credit, again, my 8-year-old son, they're not the most witty kids. Yeah. He looks right back at him, and he goes, "Yeah, you too, man," and slams the door on him. I love it. He walked in, and I was like, "What'd he say to you?" And he repeated it, and I said, "And what'd you say back?" And he told me, and I was like, "Good for you, bud." And he's like, "Yeah, well, if that's what he wants to do."
Yeah,
that's
perfect.
It. Well, that is perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
Go Tripp.
Tripp for the win.
Absolutely. All right, so getting to why you're here today.
Okay.
The fun of it.
Been a busy couple month, I should say, probably not weeks. It's been a bit busy month for you guys at council.
Yeah.
You guys have approved a budget. You guys went and changed the budget after it got approved. You guys went and talked about liquor license ordinances. There's been a lot of big things.
It was like 8 months in the making. Finally got something.
And there's more big things coming up too. You know, we got the pound, pound stuff, and we got to look at that. You know, there's some other things coming down the pipe with the police department build out and everything like that. So there's still some big things coming.
So before we talk about the change to the budget, first off, after budget was finalized, what were your initial thoughts there? Did we hit the mark this year?
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with the overall budget. If you look at what we did as a council last year, I believe we levied just over $25.5 million in property tax. On the way out the door, Harold Stewart this year gave us a budget that he wanted us to levy $29.5 million, so about a $4 million increase. And all said and done, at the end, we're going to levy just over, I believe, $21 million. So, and that's because of the change that last night we weren't able to change the ordinance. Mark Janser changed his vote for whatever reason, and decided not to give the money back to the people. And so now that $1.5 million that we were going to use to buy down property tax is going to sit in that economic development fund with the other $2.5 million that was sitting in it, and it's going to sit there and do nothing for the people. But ultimately, I was happy. I wanted to see us give that money back as we promised we would, and change the ordinance. And I haven't had a discussion with him. I don't know why Mark changed his vote, but that's what happened. So
that's fair.
And on that change of vote, a different alderman kind of took some heat for the change in the vote, but it wasn't him that actually changed the vote, correct?
No, I think you're referring to Mike Hayes.
Yeah.
Mike's picture was on the paper the following morning after that. Not that the paper misled anybody or anything. I don't mean that. But the only line in there was, it said Mark Janser changed his vote. Well, I guess why would you put that picture of somebody else up there if the vote changed that changed the whole ordinance, and the budget was done by the mayor? So
sure.
It's a bummer for sure.
But overall, you're happy with where the budget's at?
I thought we did good work for the people this year. You know, our goal, at least my goal, ultimately is to get us to around $20 million in tax levy every year, and kind of stick right there. And that means we still have some work to do, because we've been using money to buy down property tax. So now going forward, we have to actually start finding ways to save some money.
That's fair.
To stop needing as much, for levying purposes.
For sure.
So as things continue, how does that work? Are you anticipating to see next year more cuts to the budget? I think that's something that has been in mind. Like, all right, this has happened the last 2 years. How many years can we do this?
Well, we've been talking with Dave Lakefield and some of the other city officials. And, I think ultimately in years past, they would bring a budget forward, and there would be no changes, no cuts, no nothing. And so what you've seen over the last 2 years, since myself and some of the other new members have gotten on there, is we're like, hey, we want to change this and we want to cut this out. And it's really an inefficient manner to do these things, right? You have all the city employees build their budget, and then you go ahead and take a hammer or an axe or whatever you want to call it to it and start cutting stuff out. So the conversations that we've been having, Alderman Blessum, myself, Dave Lakefield, Tom Joyce now, we're talking about changing the budgeting process next year to where we come forward as a council and say, hey, this is what we're going to levy. This is the bottom number. Each department, here's your share. Divide it out what you think is best. And that way you don't have to cut anything, because you've set the standard. This is what we're going to do.
You're giving them the number to work with.
We're giving them the bottom line number right off the bat. And so, hey, PD, here's your 10 million. Go ahead and
how do you want to use
it where you want it. Yeah. And I think it'll take a lot of the, I don't want to call it heartburn, but it'll take a lot of the, I want to, some of the gotcha moments out of everything where, hey, we're going to add this back, we're going to take this out.
Sure.
This is the bottom line. Go set your budget. We're not going to cut anything after that. We've gotten to where we wanted to be, and so we just leave it there.
That's fair. I think that's a good approach to kind of go forward with. I like that idea. That's a neat concept, giving them the starting point and then having them be able to discern how they want to build it out.
It's a business mindset, right? That's what a business does. They say, hey, this is my budget for the year, and so now I'm going to take the money and I'm going to allocate it to where it needs to go. And that's what we're doing here.
Right.
So
that's a healthy step. Where do you see, so this year, now there's changes, so I'm going to have the numbers wrong, but it was around 21 million.
It was just over $21.5 million in levy, and I think we were going to buy down like $1.3 million with that money before the ordinance change got reversed.
Right.
And so it would have been just over 20 million is what would have been levied minus buy downs.
So next year, I'm not trying to get you to commit to something, but I'm just trying to understand what the rationale, or not rationale, but the thought process is. Next year, are we looking at a goal of 18 million, or do we finally?
Like I said, we want to get to
kinda
around 20 million.
Yep.
I mean, 20 million for a community our size is pretty
beautiful.
good.
Yep.
And then with, over the last number of years, we've seen where spending has gotten a little bit out of control, and so they've needed to levy more.
Right.
If we bring spending back under control, and again, I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody specifically, but I think you can see the difference between a budget from 2 years ago. Most people this year, if I'm not mistaken, will see a reduction on their city of Minot property taxes of between $300 and $500, depending on the value of your house, right? I've talked with county commissioners, John Feldall. He said they raised theirs just over 2%. So, I mean, they're pretty much flat. If I'm not mistaken, the school board doesn't really have any more levying authority, so theirs is going to be flat. And so that leaves the park district as kind of the random here, what's going to happen. But then you take the $1,600 from the state. I think most people are going to see probably $1,500 to $2,000 in property tax relief this year, which is ultimately what we wanted to do.
That house and sales tax penny got a lot of attention. Really comes down to economic development. Two things. Well, maybe you could expand it out further, but there's two. I see as two main key factors that this economic development does. One is fund the Minot Chamber EDC, and two goes to the Magic Fund and different things like that to fund facade.
Supposed to.
Yes.
Supposed to. Okay. Facade is not part of the Magic Fund or any of those buckets. No, and I just so.
No, that's good.
So we take $2.2 million a year out of the sales tax.
Yeah.
Okay. And we set it aside and say, okay, $670,000 or just a little bit more now maybe goes to the chamber to fund them. Right. That's their funding for that. And then the other $1.4 million is you're supposed to refill the Magic Fund bucket and all the other buckets that are sitting behind it, right? But they're all full.
Right.
So what do? We take that money and we put it in an account that's a sales tax for economic development account, right? And when we added the $1.3 million or $4 million to it this year, now we have $4.1 million sitting there. So let me break this out for everybody. We have $4.1 million sitting in an account that's not going to be used for anything, because I'm not going to let it be used for wayfinding signs and other random stuff that we decide that we use it for. We told the people we're going to use it for economic development. And so if we're not going to use it for economic development, then it's going to sit there. I don't care. You can slap economic development tags on anything you want, but if it doesn't grow the base economy in our city, then it's not economic development.
Right.
So you have $4.1 million sitting there. And then in the Magic Fund and the other similar buckets, you have just over $12, $13 million there. So you have somewhere in these two groups of money, $15 to $16 million of the people's money that we haven't used in almost 7 years. There's a problem there, and we need to change that.
So there was an attempt to get it changed, didn't happen. Said that people voted this into place. So who are we to change it? There's been minor changes along the way. But is this something where if that's going to be the mindset that's used, which for better or for worse, I'm not necessarily criticizing the mindset, just saying if that's what we're going to do, then is this something that should go to the people every 2 years? Be like, do you want to continue to spend money on this?
I think that's a good idea. I think ultimately, within the next year to 2 years, we do need to say to the people, hey, we need your help. And whether they think that's through a vote, like we put it on the ballot in June or the following year or whatever, and say, look, in 1992, we established the Magic Fund and all these parameters. They've changed a little bit over the years to this, and this. But ultimately, in the last 7-8 years, we have taken the money from the sales tax penny and we have not used it as to what you guys wanted us to use it for. The buckets are full. We're not getting the requests. So do you want us to do something else with it?
Right.
And maybe that's buy down flood control bonds. Maybe that's take it and use it for the police station so we don't have to save money each year.
Put that $5 million away every year.
Take that $5 million each year for the budget. Whatever it is, we let the people decide if we don't believe that we have the authority to change it ourselves. And so whether that's yearly every 2 years, whatever it is. I think that's a good idea.
Because with the buckets running close to full consistently, you could make an argument, and maybe you can do whatever you want, but you can make an argument that the money's not necessarily doing what the people thought it would do already.
It isn't. So, I mean, you have 12 to 13 million in the primary sector Magic Fund bucket and the other similar buckets. The only one that has been used that I'm aware of in the last 5 to 7 years is the Flex Pace one.
Okay.
Right? That gets used to the Bank of North Dakota program where companies are able to buy their interest rates down a little bit.
Sure.
And you know, then you take the money each year and you fill that back up. But then what do you do with the remainder of the money? So I one of the suggestions I've made, and I don't know if it'll ever go anywhere, is that we take it to the people and we say, hey, look, we're going to leave the Flex Pace budget and we're going to increase it from, I think it's $800,000 to $2 million, because that's the program that gets used. So let's leave that one there, and then the remainder of the money, what do you want us to do with it?
Right.
What would you like us to do? You know, and give them 3 options.
I'm going to put you on a hot seat here. And I'm not talking about facade program, stuff like that. I think those point of views have been very well stated and very well hashed out. In general, though, economic development, it's been this buzzword that has taken over Minot for during the budget process, somewhat because of the showing that we saw from the Chamber EDC at the budget hearing. Economic development, is this something that Minot needs to be investing in? And I understand that's a very broad question. Well, yeah, we should be putting $10 towards it every year for sure. Let's invest in it. Yeah, I understand that the funding matters, how much you're actually going to put towards it. But is this something that should be a priority in our budget to a degree?
Well, I guess let me answer a question with a question.
Let's do it.
Okay?
Let's go.
I'll put you back on the hot
I like
seat.
it.
If you're taking money from the people and we aren't using it to do the things that we told them that that we would do with it, right? And again, you can call facade economic development. When you beautify somebody's building, that's not economic development. That's basically us helping them fund a renovation.
Right.
And then when they turn around and sell it, they're under no obligation to pay anything back. You know, it's worth more money. So I don't think that's economic development. Do I think we need to invest in economic development? I believe, yes, we do. Now, having said that, we invest in economic development when we give the chamber $670,000 every year. They
agree.
run economic development for us. We invest in economic development when we pay Brian Billingsley his salary every year. He's the economic development and community coordinator for the city of Minot. So we invest almost $900,000, $850,000 in that section right there in economic development. Why do we need more? Right? Because we take that $2.2 million after we give the chamber their money. There's somewhere between $1.3 million and $1.5 million left. What economic development has come from that money in the last 7 years? If somebody points it out to me and can show me, hey, we've done this, besides the Flex Pace buy down where companies are able to buy down their rates, how have we used any of that money for economic development? We haven't. And that was one of the discussions we've kind of had. And like I was saying, you know, somebody kept saying, well, we need to take that money and put it in the account. Well, why? Every year, if money's been used out of the buckets, when it comes budget time, we will allocate and refill those buckets. But we haven't had to do that. Well, that money's for economic development. Well, what money is going to come out of, or what economic development is going to come out of that $4.1 million sitting in that account that wouldn't come out of the buckets first?
Sure.
And then you kind of go, oh, wait. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, we're setting money aside for economic development when we have almost $13 million set aside for economic development. So why are we still setting more aside?
Yep, sure.
You know, so yes, we do need to invest in it. It's huge, but we need to do it organically. We don't need to do these arbitrary things where this group gets this or this group gets this and nothing ever becomes of it.
Sounds like just economic development needs a definition for what that is in Minot.
Yeah,
well,
it's turned into a very broad thing over this summer.
People use it. People use it as a hashtag on everything, right? Oh, this is economic development. Sure, you can call anything you want economic development, but if it doesn't raise the tax base in the city of Minot, and it doesn't bring in more income for the city to use, then it isn't economic development.
Comment. Let's use a few million of that magic fund money to get those arrested developments build ready, get some more houses, paying taxes in our community.
It's a great idea. I mean, people talk all the time about us giving builders and developers incentives for infrastructure and stuff like that. We have $13 million sitting there. Let's use it for that then.
Right. And this goes back to the principle that's been talked about, and maybe overhashed out, but it's been talked about a lot, is you have the Renaissance program and you have the facade program, and fine or indifferent about those programs, great. You have these programs that hit these very small
select areas,
portions of our city when we're dealing with other issues as well. The number one issue is not the downtown environment has improved dramatically over the past few years. Number one issue of mine is not the downtown environment. It is close to number one is the houses.
Housing is the number one priority or issue facing us, especially if the Sentinel project is coming,
right.
especially with Big Iron America coming here now.
Right.
There's a number of things that are going to happen. So housing is going to be crucial because we want the people that are going to work at these places to live in our community, not outside our community, and then travel in. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, here's a question for you, Jonathan. Again, hot seat.
Let's do it.
We've
Let's go.
invested all this money in downtown Minot, right?
Yeah.
We've renovated buildings. We've given tax breaks. We've done all this stuff. Is the business environment in downtown Minot changed? Has it gotten better? Because I noticed a number of businesses and buildings closed.
Right.
And so I don't care
that's a
how
good
much
point.
money you want to throw at it. You cannot force people to go to an area to spend money if they don't want to spend money. And that's ultimately why I think we lose businesses downtown. People are fine going downtown once in a while, but Minot isn't a community where we go downtown and hang out and party and hang together and do those things. We're just not that community, and we never have been, I think, since the 50s. You know?
And I think over the last decade-ish, it's become a little more centric in that degree. But
we're
it's
trying
still
to
not.
force people.
It's
right?
still not something that, like, downtown Minot isn't the hub of Minot.
Right. Shields doesn't have a location downtown Minot.
Sure.
Right. Why doesn't Shields? They're a big, huge marketing or, nationalized company. Why don't they put some? Sam's Club isn't looking to build anything in downtown Minot. Why not?
Right.
Because that isn't where
A lot of that.
And to distill to the core of that, it's a lot of local shops that are downtown. There's no big brands that are, Sam's Club probably isn't going to build up.
And that's what you normally see, right? And I'm not taking anything away from those people. They work hard. They got good businesses.
It's not the point.
And we need to support them. But throwing money down there and calling it economic development when it isn't really doing anything to help our economy, I don't agree with that.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. I mean, we did do some reverse economic development coming out of the flood. We shut down the downtown. But you can't get anywhere down there.
Mine was shut down in general there.
Yeah, but the downtown
was
got
different.
brutal
Yeah,
for years.
It did. It was
You
bad
couldn't
for a
get
long time
anywhere.
there.
And
Well,
businesses
and again,
somehow survived.
That's where, some of this stuff probably had to or needed to be done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
To a portion, but it's gone out. It's like we're talking about with the economic development pennies or half penny is that, maybe there was a time. We're not discussing the merit of should this have ever happened. Maybe there was a time where it happened, but at this point, why are we still doing it?
Right.
Like
at its time and point when they put it in place, the Magic Fund and that whole idea, I think was a good thing because like I've said before, I graduated from high school in 1991 and Minot was dying. There wasn't a lot of people, young people weren't staying here, new things weren't coming here. And so they needed to do something to try and change that. And I think it did, and it worked for a while. But let's get into the 2000s, and it really hasn't done much.
Yeah.
So,
And now that we're into the 2020s, it's time to because things are built to change for the most part.
What we decide 30 years ago, we're going to hold ourselves to that 33 years later. Like I think, as a community, as a society, and as a state, we've evolved in the last 30 years, right? So, I mean, maybe we should say, hey, look, you know what? Why that was a great idea then, we have to change it into this now because this is what would work better for us in this instance.
It's okay to reassess things after 30 years.
we're gonna go to a break, but before we do, we got
Uh-oh.
a little gift for everybody.
Okay, it's not the good picture. That's fine.
Oh,
You
there's
can't-
another one? Okay, no problem. I'll find the other one. Here's one of them, though.
Yeah.
This is one of...
Who were you? Is that Ebenezer Scrooge?
It's pretty close. Have you ever seen the TV show Deadwood?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it was remember the newspaper man Merrick?
Yeah.
Effectively, that's what I was
who you
going
were?
for.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
I think I have another one as long as you didn't delete it out of our text thread.
I never did. I promise you
Is
that.
this the one you don't want?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
the good.
sweet.
That's the good one.
We'll have another one.
You're gonna show
for
it, you gotta show
in a
the good
bit.
one.
So
All I can say is I'm glad it's you and not me this year.
Yeah. Hey,
we'll be back in a minute 15.
we'll never be able.
In the demanding world of oil and gas, precision, safety, and efficiency are non-negotiable. Unmanned operator drone services revolutionizes how you monitor, inspect, and manage your operations. With cutting-edge technology and expert operators, we deliver real-time data, detailed reports, and actionable insights for our valuable clients. Why risk the safety of your team or waste precious time? Our drones access even the most challenging areas with ease, reducing downtime and enhancing safety across your sites. We take the guesswork out of your projects by offering LiDAR, mapping, and inspection services so that your projects stay safe, on budget, and on time. Unmanned operator drone services, where technology meets safety, precision, and efficiency. Contact us today to elevate your operations. Yes, pun intended.
Enjoy Minot's finest authentic Mexican cuisine with a view at Mi Mexico. The rooftop patio is open and ready for you to enjoy a margarita or other cool refreshment along with genuine mouth-watering Mexican entrees. Mi Mexico, South Broadway.
Still,
He was too fat.
We get to see him again. All right, sounds good. We're
Get outta
back.
here.
All right, so something that you really bad want to talk about is
Not really bad.
is the Dodgers.
I think I was going to give Rob the opportunity to talk about the
Glad
Dodgers.
they won. We're looking for a
I mean,
three-peat next year.
It was a great World Series on Saturday. Game 7 was crazy.
It was incredible. The whole series was incredible.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my opinion, I'm 52 years old, and I've seen a lot of great sporting events over the years, right? Tiger and Jordan and Brett Favre and the Packers and all that stuff. But this is one of the best sporting events, beginning to end, I think I've ever watched in my life. And not just because the team that I like won, but gosh, there was so many ups and downs and twists and turns. It was great to watch. It was like your heart is pounding. You're on the edge of your seat constantly.
Baseball poetry in action.
It was awesome.
You got Kershaw, who gets an out in the World Series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, incredibly
Not only
crucial
that,
out.
right?
Yep.
Like he hadn't pitched in how many days? They
Right.
bring him in.
Desperate.
Bases are loaded.
2 outs.
Wasn't
1 or 2 outs.
I think there was
something.
only 1 out because didn't they throw a double play there too?
I think that's it,
anyway.
yeah.
He pitches him full count and then ground out double play ball, and you're like Clayton Kershaw's last pitch as a professional baseball player, and that was it. And you're like, man, talk about a storyline right there, right?
Threw, I think he threw 7 pitches or something, and it was 5 of them were sliders.
Yeah.
Freddie Freeman had a quote on that about looking for some more velo from the guy.
All he's got left is slop at this point. It's
Yeah,
the
but
end
he actually had a decent year.
of, no, he did. I'm not saying it's
Don't
the
you
end of
guys
the
remember
season. He's an
Major
old
League?
man.
What
Exactly.
was the old guy's name that come in there throwing the slot ball?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Jamie Moyer stuff. And then you had Yamamoto. That guy, dude, that guy
Yeah,
is a
it's
legend. now.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, they were comparing. So if you think back to, I want to say the early 2000s when the last time that we had back-to-back winners, it was the
Yankee.
Arizona
There's
Diamondbacks.
Yep.
Because the Yankees were before them.
Right, but yeah, they were the
won 3
three-peat, right,
before
yeah.
them. But Randy Johnson had 3 pitching incidents in that World Series setting, and they were comparing Yamamoto's to Randy Johnson's. And it's like, that was an amazing thing. The guy gave up 2 runs in 17 and a half innings. He gave up 2 runs, struck out some big players.
Yeah.
No, he's good.
24 years old. He's the nicest guy that, if you see the things, if you're not a Dodger fan, you don't probably see it or follow it. But the Japanese players that have come over here have a whole different mindset than Major League Baseball players, right? Like he's over there, him and Shohei both. They go over there and they fill the waters out of the water jug and set the cups on top of the water jug in between innings, and instead of sitting there being so.
Right.
Most
to
people
see
don't have a chance to watch
like
it because most of those guys
Scherzer.
goes to the place for the Dodgers anyways.
Sounds bitter to me over there. Like maybe you need to talk to your Twins owners.
If they would
about
just sell the team, it'd be
paying
great.
up, so.
Yeah, go bring back in. Yeah, Scherzer. There's a clip on Instagram or something where he comes out of he steps into the dugout and people just start jumping out of his way.
out of his way.
Like, just get out of the way. Scherzer's
Mad
here.
Max.
Yep. And or on the reverse side, you have them filling up water. He takes notes after each inning. I heard.
Yeah.
Like has a notebook in there. Just
doing his
writing
own
there.
Some of those guys
Downloaded us.
are very serious about this. Like you think, they're just making millions and they're sitting there doing nothing. The research and the studying they do, and they know what they're throwing to each hitter and stuff like that. It's pretty amazing.
They probably make decent count a person.
Now, if they ever had a professional sports league where you had to know the lyrics or movie quotes to 80s songs and movies, I'd be
there.
awesome at it.
I feel that.
He would have it. So we talked about budget. We talked about sales tax. There's another hot topic issue that has
Hot
hit.
tots?
No,
Sorry, that was.
we're out of baseball season. Like, wait till like June to throw that at us. All right. The liquor license ordinance.
Oh, yes.
And this
Real
is
business.
this is a big deal. People still. I thought we were finally like getting traction on this, and it sounds like people still aren't like thrilled about even it being divided, even though they wanted it divided.
Mm-hmm.
And then
What do you mean how we divided it out for changing the wording of the ordinance?
into
to
two
the
different
cap?
issues, which seems
Okay.
like it was a good thing. But then even public comment was like, we did this, we were supportive of this, but now that we're looking at it, they're really tied together. I don't know if this is actually a good idea. And then maybe refining some of the licenses, giving some more flexibility without removing the actual cap that everyone talks about. That is not loved by people. So that would allow people or companies like Target to come in and get a license that's not one of the
retail licenses.
right,
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's say let's play the what if game because
Yeah, let's
everybody
do it.
always
That's
likes
fun.
to do that.
Let's
What
go.
if? What if we take the liquor licenses and we pare them down to the 10 or 12 that the city attorney said she thinks we can get them down
Sure.
to, and or 10 or 11, and then we add back one more, which is the retail or the off sale license that doesn't have a cap, right? Okay. There's currently 4 liquor licenses available in the city of Minot if you want to pay for them. Now think about this. If that happens, how many liquor stores do we have in Minot that aren't to bars? 4 or 5 of them, right?
Yeah, you'll have the
the 4
marketplaces,
marketplaces, Cashwise,
Walmart,
Walmart, and Broadway Liquors.
Yeah.
And if I'm missing one in there, I
maybe
apologize.
another one or
Right.
something. Yeah.
But so those people then all of a sudden can go buy a different license.
Right.
And their 5 or 6 licenses or whatever they are become available. And now we have 10 liquor licenses available in Minot. So if we make those little changes like that, do we need to undo the cap?
Do you feel like if you made that change right there that it devalues the existing licenses that people are?
I don't believe it does. Again, the only people it would change anything to are the people coming in to buy one. Whatever the people paid in the last 20 to 30 years for their liquor licenses is what they paid, and there's no changing that.
Right.
Do they think it's worth a certain amount? Certainly they do, but the market changes and they have to understand that. And so do I think it devalues them? No, I don't think it'll devalue them, but I think it'll show us as a community that maybe we had too many retail liquor licenses out there to start with, because
fair.
we were keeping them for the liquor stores, which are a completely different entity than a retail liquor license.
Because it feels weird that a place like Target has the same kind of liquor license than the
Yeah.
Dakota Lounge does.
Well, exactly. I mean, again, and I wasn't a party to it. I don't know why they'd set up 16, 17, 18 different liquor licenses over the number of years. I think what it was is I'd heard somewhere sometime, well, hey, this isn't clearly defined.
So make a
let's
new
just
one.
make a new one.
Someone wanted one,
it's
so-
like,
always good.
maybe we could have redone that
in
differently.
in a single instance, sure, but then you transform it over 60 years, and all of a sudden now we have 20 some different licenses to go through.
we have a lot of licenses, and I and that was kind of the point I was making when they were talking about taking the cap off the supper club one, right? The seating cap. Well, all of a sudden, if you take the cap off the seating cap off the supper club licenses, how is it any different than a retail liquor license, which
Sure.
is capped? It just isn't capped. And
Yep.
and so, I mean, again, there's, to your point where some people think they are all tied together, they are all tied together. And when you look at them, you have to look at it as a whole, I believe, but you have to be able to dissect the individual pieces and work on them individually too, right? We did what we needed to do, I believe, in my opinion, with the liquor cap, and now we're going to address the ordinances. And now this could be a longer process than the cap part talk about it, right? Because they'll bring us back another iteration and we may say, hey, we like this, we don't like that, or we come up with another one, let's change this. So that could take a little bit longer, but ultimately, I mean, I think we're doing the right thing, and hopefully after we get done with these revisions, we won't have to visit it again in the next 5 to 10 years.
That's fair.
So
This part is true.
Yeah.
I think everybody's ready for that part to be done.
well, can you imagine being a business owner and every 2 to 5 years somebody brings it up and then all of a sudden you think, you
don't know what
you don't know if you're going to lose value, you don't know what's going to happen to your industry. Like, that's got to be a stressful thing. It's stressful enough running a business without that being thrown in there every few years.
Yeah, it is. Interesting. Wouldn't devalue? Would the city go and set? You don't know this for sure, right? You can't comment 100%. But would you be open to the city setting a minimum price for those new
We
licenses?
already have done that.
Yeah.
When we
And
issued
you'd
those
keep that.
4 licenses
Right.
4 years ago, we said minimum value or minimum bid is $100,000.
And-
we have already determined.
So you wouldn't be interested in having that lowered then?
Well, what do you lower it to? What's the number you're talking about?
No.
I mean, are we going down to $10,000? Or are we going to say 75? Because if you can't afford 100, you can't afford 75 most of the time.
No, I agree. Because that's, if someone has an argument where it's being devalued, that's where the devaluation comes. Is right there. Is if the city changes their, because if the city says, oh, we have 10 new licenses, they're $50K each, then everybody's license worth $50K. And that's if there's 10 new or 15 new businesses coming in. So then there's a bidding war.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that's
you're
not
going to
gonna
see an
happen.
ebb and a flow to it, right? If we make the change where we give the retail liquor stores a license that isn't a retail license, and they're able to go buy that license for less money every year, continue to do their operations, and then they put theirs up for sale. I think as they put them up for sale, they're going to ask a certain amount, and what they sell at will determine what the value is. And that's just the market and the economy, and ultimately that's the way it should work. Are some people going to be happy with that? No.
Right.
But that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very
Especially
good.
with something that's federally regulated to that
Well,
degree
for sure.
too.
You know, that's absolutely 100% true. You know, and then that was one of the points we talked about, I think, that night. It's nationally regulated. It's state regulated. Why shouldn't the city have some say in what we do? And do I think we can address it? Sure. We can address all the things that people are worried and concerned about, and I think we can fix it. And then maybe never have to talk about it again. So.
Or maybe not for another at least like 25 years
Give me
or so.
3 years
Yeah.
until my election time, and if I'm off, and then you guys can talk about it again.
Then
So,
they can bring it up again.
That's fair, I guess. Okay. Well, anything else that you want to talk about, Kyler?
Last night, a little bit, at least with some of those fast meeting, as we mentioned. One of the more interesting topics that had a little bit more discussion was the rewriting of some of Minot's criminal traffic ordinances.
The speeding
ticket specifically. Yep. And there was some discussion that came up because the state is now mandating that, or is no longer allowing cities to be able to double the state mandated minimum fine for some of the moving violations.
Yeah, for speeding, basically. Like when we talked about keeping it, not changing the rate for the uninsured motorist, right? That's not a speeding violation. So
the city still has purview to adjust that.
To do that. Yep.
Yep.
So what was your question about it?
My thought on that was you brought up the discussion point of the state maybe overlooked some things, and then you brought up the specific point of school zones and speeds, and there was some discrepancy in that, which now that is apparently lesser in a fine than what was it that Scott
registering your snowmobile.
Yeah,
if you don't register your snowmobile with the state of North Dakota, it's a $50 fine. If you speed in a school zone, it's a $40 fine.
Sure.
It doesn't seem very logical to me, but I think, and obviously, guys, you've seen it with us on the council, so I'm going to give the people in the state some grace here.
Yeah.
They miss things. You overlook things. You're looking at a bigger picture, and something on the sidelines gets missed.
Yeah.
And so that's why we talked about it last night. And you know,
You had 2 state reps there.
Yeah, I had conversations with Senator Castaneda. Jose and I are pretty good friends, and so we talked through it, and I asked him what he remembered, and we had a good discussion on it, and he's like, you know what? we missed that.
Yeah.
He said, and we got to go back at the next session. He goes, he told me personally, he said, I'll write a bill to bring this back and get this fixed. And so there's stuff like that one. They lowered the fines on the distracted drivers one, and you didn't hear much about that one.
Yeah.
But I think that one needs to be looked at too. If a construction zone has a fine of $150, a school zone, in my opinion, should have a fine of at least the same. And the distracted driver stuff, we should be able to, and I think that one may come back again too.
To give the localities a little bit more control over that
not
one.
through the state. I mean, in the
through the city. Okay, through you guys
we
yourselves.
may
Okay.
talk about that one again, because I think there was a couple people last night after the meeting when a couple of the law enforcement officers came over to us and they said, hey, what about this one? And we're like, oh yeah, we should have talked about that one too. And so that one may come back, because why would you drop the fine on distracted driving? I mean, I think all of us driving around might not realize right now how many distracted drivers there are in this city.
There's none. I don't see him at all.
Says the man.
That's a distracted driver.
That was staring at his phone instead of somebody else driving. So.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
That was, I think that was pretty much the biggest point of, or topic of interest at last night's meeting. I mean, you could also, I guess, the other one that was the starting process of the police department building being looked at by engineer.
Yeah, we're going to put the
Yeah.
RFQ out there and say, hey, give us your qualifications so we can see who we want to use. There's a lot of that we're going to work through there, because again, when they come in, they're not going to come in, I hope, and say, hey, this is what you want done and this is what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
They're just going to say, this is what you want done. Here's your design. Now go give it to your builders and find out what it's going to cost.
That's
right?
fair.
That's how we're going to do this time. But I mean, and you didn't catch on it, but I think one of the biggest things that happened last night is the fact that we voted to join a joint committee with the county.
That is
to
true.
talk
At the
about
end,
the
I did want to talk about that too.
Talk
Yeah,
about
good
the
call.
things that the county wants, sees that we can improve on. We have overlapping services where we can maybe commingle them. They want to talk to us, I know, specifically about the 2 mile and allowing the people in the 2 mile boundary to vote.
Sure. For this.
Yeah, I mean, so those are some big things I think that are going to be on the plate coming up, and
it sounds like that's going to end up happening. That committee will almost certainly, I assume,
so
get
we
put
voted
together.
last night to say, hey, we're in favor of this. I talked with John Feldall afterwards, and he said, yep, I saw the meeting. We have it on our meeting tonight. We're going to talk about it too to see if we're on the same page, and hopefully we can put this all together.
Perfect. Well, that'll be great, especially because if what I heard last night was right. There's already a board that kind of has both of you guys, as well as a lot of other entities
We
from
have a
around
liaison board
Yeah.
that takes all the basically taxing entities, I think, and they have representation on there.
I think
and
it was-
when we were approached, when we talked with the county, they're kind of like, they do their specific thing, but this is specific. This isn't school board. This isn't park district. This is just county and city stuff. And I think they.
And I think it was Mayor Janser last night that said too that most of the discussion in that liaison is between city-county relations, anyways. So sounds like this is probably a fair thing to be going on its own.
And again, ultimately, all they're going to do is sit down and talk about things and see if they can come to any agreements, and then bring them to the Ward County Commission and the City Council and give them to us to vote on. Yep. So
if there were ever to be a merger between the Ward County and Minot Public Library, this is probably where those conversations would begin.
I would think that would probably be a conversation in here right now. I know it was broached a few years ago before my time, and I've heard about it. I think there's a little bit in there. Is it a good idea? I think it might be a good idea.
It's at least worth a discussion again, probably.
If you do something, and again, I'm just spitballing, but if you do something where it's not like you dissolve one or the other, you merge them, right, into a joint venture type thing. You figure out the taxation, and then, ultimately, then they have an empty space. Let's say we move it to the Minot Public Library area, and we now call it the Minot Ward Public Library or whatever it is, and we continue to run the bookmobile for the counties and everything like that. And then they have an empty space over there, and like I said, we've been worried what we're going to do with our municipal court situation in the armory for the last few years.
All of a sudden, there's
a giant space right next to the courthouse, right next to the
in the Ward
jail,
County admin building,
all that, and we could potentially have our municipal court over there. I mean, that's a win-win for everybody. That the tax dollars, it saves everybody money. So I mean, just things to talk about. I don't know if they're going anywhere or. going to make it on the agenda, but it's important things.
Exactly. Non-committing at this point since it hasn't even officially started, but it's good to think about those conversations that could be coming up.
Well, and again, why some people think that maybe merging the libraries is a great idea. We may hear points that are like, you know what, that isn't the best
exactly.
idea. And I think that's what happened last time. And so, but it's the ability for the city and the county to be able to have conversations about those things, I think is very important, especially for Minot right now.
Yeah, for sure.
We're in the middle of a government shutdown, 34 days in.
Speaking of national news, whole different direction on this, but I'm going to cut you off.
I thought that's where Kyle was going. Sorry.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney passed away last night.
Yeah, I heard that. 84 years old.
Yeah, a historic figure in American politics.
I think he played a lot. When I was a kid, he had a lot of behind the scenes influence. But after 9/11, he had a lot of
more direct.
Yeah. So
and just one of the really notable thing I saw happen this morning. So I figured at least throw that out here.
Yeah.
And sorry, Jonathan, I cut you off there.
It's just
I have to return the favor once in a while.
And I just not to interrupt you guys, but last night, when I saw that, I was sitting there, and my wife and I were watching TV, and I just happened to be scrolling. I was on the computer looking at some stuff, and I jumped over to Facebook for a second, and I saw Dick Cheney had passed away. That breaking news, and then I'm scrolled down a little bit farther, and I see this one that pops up and says Tom Selleck died too, and I was like, "What?
No, did he?
No, he didn't. And so.
But then you have to double check both of them now.
Then you go out, right? And I Google, and I was like, "Did Tom Selleck die today?" And they're like, "No, that's a fake headline." And then you're like, "Did Dick Cheney die today?" Yeah, he actually died. So I mean, you don't even know what's real anymore. Social media is so ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway,
it all comes with a grain. You have to take it all with a grain of salt.
And you have to verify.
You do. You have to independently.
And it's funny because I tease my dad all the time, and we'll be talking on the phone or something, and he'll be like, "Yeah. I saw this on my phone today, and Dad, that isn't true."
Yeah,
I said, where did you see it? And he's like, "Oh, on this." And I was like, you got to verify some of that stuff.
And don't trust AI to verify for you. You got to do it.
You do it yourself.
Yeah.
80 years old, Tom Selleck is.
Yeah.
Still hanging in there.
Heck yeah.
What's that?
Heck yeah. Tom Selleck's doing good.
Magnum PI, baby.
Man himself.
Government shutdown, 34 days in, on the verge of a record, which would be 35 days. What's been your thoughts on the shutdown in general? Obviously, there's been a move to get like different factions of things paid, which I've said personally, I don't know if I'm a fan of that, but yeah.
Well, so where am I at in the government shutdown? I think the fact that the Republicans are like, hey, here is a clean continuing resolution, which the Democrats voted for the last 13 times under Joe Biden, where they said, hey, here's the clean thing, and we'll talk about everything afterwards. I think you can lay blame on one side here, right? And not that I'm trying to lay blame. So I think that's very obvious to everybody. But going back to your other comment about people getting paid, I think it's essential that our air traffic controllers and that our military and those people that are doing the things for this country, it is not their fault that our politicians want to fight like a bunch of little kids.
Right.
Okay.
I agree.
So I think those people need to be paid. I saw last night that Trump said, hey, I found $750 million or $750 billion, whichever it was. I don't remember the number, but in tariffs, and we're going to use that to fund part of the SNAP program.
Sure.
I think that's fantastic. If the Democrats don't want to, work with the Republicans to do things, I think the things that the Republicans are doing are helpful. I mean, I don't know where you sit on what the $1.3 trillion that the Democrats want to add back in, where you sit on that stuff. I'm not even going to get into it. But, part of the way government works, whether it's city, state, or federal, is you continue to operate and then you have the discussions.
Sure.
And right now, in my mind, the Democrats took their ball, they got mad, and they're like, we're not going to play anymore. And so they're doing the same, like they're yelling at the Republicans, and the Republicans didn't do this, at least during the last 13 continuing resolutions to keep the government funded. So I don't know. I have a very hard time with it. If you want to talk about the subsidies to Obamacare and all that stuff, great. Fund the government and then sit down and have the discussion like adults. Don't try and hold everybody hostage. Like that is the most immature governance I've ever seen in my life. So, That's my opinion.
Yeah, there we go.
That's fair.
That's exactly what we're looking for there. It's been an interesting deal.
Do you think anything gets done this week?
I don't know. I mean, I like, there's so many things behind the scenes playing at this, right? Like, and so if it was just about actually funding the government and doing the right thing, I would think it would be done already.
Yeah.
But it isn't. There's so many behind the scenes things, and everybody talks about this, and I don't know how much you guys have paid attention. So they said, oh, the Democrats, are holding up the government because they want to make sure illegals are getting paid. This actually has nothing to do with illegals. Do you know what it has to do with? The insurance companies and the lobbyings. The insurance companies get billions of dollars in Obamacare subsidies.
Sure.
That if that goes away, all of a sudden, billions of dollars of income to these companies are gone. You wonder why the Democrats are holding up the government? It's because the lobbyists for the insurance companies are telling them, those are the people that are funding the Democrats and paying for their campaigns. You wonder why that's happening. That's exactly why it's happening. And so our insurance industry in this country has a problem, right? We've all seen that with premiums and everything that's gone up. Us in Minot, North Dakota, are paying for the fires and the hurricanes and everything else all over this country. And now the lobbyists are shutting down our government so they don't lose their billions of dollars in subsidies for Obamacare. That's a bunch of nonsense. And if the federal government doesn't step in and put some regulations on these insurance companies, I think insurance is going to disappear because people are going to get tired of paying for it.
Going to give up on it at a point.
And what do they do? When you have a claim, all they do is fight you and find out a way not to pay.
Try to put the blame on you.
I'm sure some of our fellow insurance people are going to jump on there and flame me right now, but I don't care.
And one bigger thing too of the whole picture, I think it just goes onto the lobbying issue as a whole too.
It does.
The industry in general, it's been something. I mean, you can go back to the 1912 election when Teddy Roosevelt was running to try to get back into office. Yeah. That was one of his main platform planks, was to remove lobbying at that time. And here we sit 110, 15 years later, and it's so much, as bad as it was then, it's to a whole different degree now.
Well, and I mean, we had that discussion just very briefly, but we had that discussion when we pulled out of the League of Cities, right?
Sure.
What does the League of Cities become? It says, oh, well, no, they're a lobbying group. They lobby for the largest names in the biggest cities, Fargo and Bismarck, and there's some benefit to us as a city of Minot, but other than the hub city funding, which happened between 10 and 15 years ago, and I posed this to other people, what has the League of Cities done for Minot, North Dakota? And so when we made that decision, it wasn't a political statement or anything like that. They've become a lobbying group, and that was why I voted to remove ourselves from it.
Sure.
So not sure when the government shutdown is going to go away. Nobody knows. But open to seeing portions of it funded, private money that Trump's been able to fund. Stuff
that
like
billionaire that gave $132 billion or $1 million, whatever it was.
Help fund military.
That was unbelievable. I mean, those are the people in this country that we should be thanking right now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And then we have a couple, it's not midterms, that's next year. But
off-term election cycle is happening right now.
It is, and there's a couple key races in New Jersey and Virginia. You've been following those at all?
A couple gubernatorial.
The Virginia one?
The Virginia one is, the funny thing about that one, right? We're this close to having, and we've all seen the meme. We are this close to having our first female black governor in any state in the country. It's only being held up by a white female who believes in DEI. And, it's like, the storylines behind some of this stuff are hilarious, right? And so, I mean, I'm following them. I think the one for me that's the most concerning, I mean, it is an off election cycle, but if New York City elects a socialist, I think that points to a broader problem within our country than it does anything else.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, generally, you're right with that. However, is he going to be able to push through his agenda through the New York City Commission? That's my thoughts. And if maybe he is, and if he is, then
one of the first things he's talking about doing, if you guys have been reading any of his stuff, one of the first things he's talking about doing is raising business taxes to what New Jersey has done, 11, 12% right in there from the state. They said that'll absolutely kill.
That's why a lot of businesses left New Jersey for New York.
They said that'll absolutely kill downtown New York businesses and everything. They will pull out of there, and it'll make it almost unbelievable to do business. And so you got to sit there and say, okay, you hope the commission that he's got to run this stuff through and everything is doing the right thing.
Sure.
But if you're the mayor and you're the guy running things, you have a lot of power and sway.
Especially in that situation.
I mean, yeah, I think if they elect him and these things start happening, this will be a great test to see how well socialism works, because there's ultimately a whole generation of people in this country that don't think socialism is a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I can't understand why. I mean, maybe it's because public schools doesn't teach it's a bad thing anymore, but whatever. So
on top of that, too, it doesn't help that a couple people he's running against maybe aren't the greatest candidates you could have thrown up there either. I'm not saying he's a good candidate, but I'm
Cuomo,
saying,
who is the ousted governor, right? And
Andrew was not Mario.
No, and when did you ever think
Curtis Silva
that somebody would go, hey, yeah, Cuomo's the best candidate, and you're like,
Yeah.
what
in the
Are
world?
we talking about Mario? Did he come back from the
3
dead?
years ago, like the guy was, on the way out. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't think of the other guy's name.
Curtis Silva.
Silva.
The
yeah.
beret wearing guy.
You know, I mean, again,
incredibly entertaining.
He's entertaining. Is he a flawed candidate? Sure. But in my opinion, I think he's the best of the three choices. At least you have an idea of what you're going to get.
That's why I was shocked last night when Trump endorsed Cuomo.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
was
he would either
surprised.
endorse Silva or just stay out of it.
I hear the surprise in it, but it feels like it's not a endorsement of this is who I think is the best candidate. I think this guy has the best chance of being Mamdani.
You're right with that.
People
You're
are
right with
very
that.
concerned about him.
And that's ultimately the thing. I think Trump is good enough at reading the winds, the political winds in the country.
Yep.
And he knows that Silva, even though he is probably the best candidate, cannot beat Mamdani even with his endorsement.
Yeah.
So he's going to endorse Cuomo in the hopes that Cuomo can actually get
His
Mamdani.
endorsement can give him that extra 10 to 15 points that he needs.
What's the old saying? What's worse, the devil you do know or the devil you don't know?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
True. Well, going to be interesting. We'll actually be going live tonight,
Beat
8
me to it.
p.m.
Oh, you guys going to do a live event for
We'll
that?
have a live event tonight covering that. Going to have Representative Jared Hendricks on, so we'll talk state stuff while we look at what's going on nationally.
Yeah.
Cool.
Minnesota has a couple of statewide special elections going on. We'll be sure to talk about those a little bit too tonight, and those will be the most closely relevant ones to us. And then, of course, everything going on in Virginia, New Jersey, New York City will be following along, and it's going to be a fun night up here.
Yep, and everything in North Dakota too.
Of course.
A ton of stuff here.
I'll
And
wake
how
up
it all
in the morning
relates-
and read it on the paper.
How it all
that's
relates to North Dakota.
Well, some of the stuff, whether you believe it or not, does.
does,
tie
at
back
least
to North
indirectly.
Dakota. Wow.
And it shows greater trends.
we'll filter back and
Oh,
just
no.
like pictures like that.
No, I hit that pose. I don't even care. I hit that.
Well, that's how they used to pose back in the 1800s.
Exactly.
so.
I
I
killed
couldn't tell
that.
if you're trying to be Teddy.
Okay,
I
so
had no idea
I
who you were
went
trying
to
to
a party thing. And it was themed like a murder mystery based in Deadwood in 1874. So I'm like, I like the TV show Deadwood. I'm going to base myself off one of those characters to play my role. And I went with the banker, Mr. A.B. Merrick from the show. I just didn't have the little
Surprised
glasses.
that was your pick out of all the characters on
Well,
the show.
I was also my role was like an Eastern businessman who was really like a card shark kind of thing. So that's why I went
Fit.
with that kind of look.
Yeah, you've had a lot of changes going on in your head.
The beard's gone, the
I
mustache
do want to
is
say
gone,
I
the hair's
noticed
gone.
last night. I do want to say I noticed last night at the council meeting that the first time I'd seen you with your haircut.
Yeah, this is the shortest my hair's been.
Looks good.
Oh, thank you. I
Looks
appreciate
Did you see
it.
the clip?
The clip where you guys cut it?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
oh, no, I didn't see that at all. I apologize.
I don't know if
Did he cry?
A little internally, yeah. It took two people to fix it. He butchered it so bad.
I did a good job. If you ask me, I did a good job.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right down the middle. him the
Dude,
skunk stripe?
we had a beard trimmer.
Yeah.
Oh, you used a beard trimmer to cut his hair?
It didn't work well.
It was terrible.
Oh, my
Just a minute,
goodness.
Let me see if I can get this.
All
All right, here we are. We've waited a long time for this to happen.
Yes.
We've tried to make this happen.
You've tried to force it to happen.
How am I forcing it?
tried to
Who
speak-
is the one?
You tried to speak it into existence first.
Well, I'll say this. You have a confession. Sorry, we tried to play it, but it mutes our mic.
I'm gonna
we'll
have to go back and watch it. That's the
Yeah,
first time I
that's-
see it. I didn't know you guys had an actual video.
Yeah,
of
we
it.
have a little
Jonathan
clip. We need to
filmed
just
it.
get
Can I
that.
ask what was why did we cut our hair?
Yeah,
Was there
why?
a bet?
Tell us why.
Yes. So originally, he made an absurd bet with me that he would I would have to get my head shaved by him if the Mariners and the Padres both made the World Series.
Okay.
Never happened historically, so I took him
Padres
up on
have
that.
made it, though.
Not yet. Okay,
Not
like
at the same
like
time.
like one time ever between both teams.
Like last year. They made it last year.
No.
Padres weren't in it last year?
Dodgers
my bad.
won.
Yeah, my bad. I was thinking of a different
before.
series.
Padres haven't made it since Tony Gwynn.
Gotcha.
But anyways, so we were talking about that at the start of that show that we were doing, and fast forward to the end of the show, we're 4 subscribers away from being 1,000 on YouTube, and I just throw out there, hey, if we get it by the end of the day, I'll let you shave my head. Immediate regret.
Of course.
Immediate regret.
You tell people online that, hey, if you like my page, I'll shave my head.
Yeah,
Why do you think
immediate.
the ice bucket challenge and all that stuff became so
Immediate
popular?
regret.
Yep.
But
So
then it worked
we
out
made sure
great.
that happened.
People want to see you in pain. That's society today.
Yeah.
And he willingly shaved his beard
Yeah, well,
so that
at
way he
that
could
point,
be this banker.
yeah, I had to rock. I'm not going to rock the mutton chops.
Well, I mean,
I can pull them off clearly, but
now the question becomes: after you've had the long hair and the short hair, are you going to grow it back out? Or
not to that length again. It'll probably be like about what it was last winter.
Okay.
That'll be the
We
go-to.
totally remember what that was.
Yeah,
So-
that's fair.
Good show. We'll be back 8 a.m. tonight.
What?
8 p.m.
Sorry, I run off the 24-hour clock, so we'll be back at 20.
Still 8 p.m.
Hour 20.
It'd just be
20 o'clock.
Yeah, 20 o'clock.
20 o'clock tonight, 8 p.m. And we're gonna be joined by Rep. Jared Hendricks. If you want to join the show, then let us know. We might do that.
Heck
That might be
yeah!
kinda
Send
fun.
us a message
Tell
when we're
Jared,
live.
I said, hey,
I will.
him and I speak once in a while on Facebook.
That's
just
good.
whatever. But
He's a good dude.
he is.
So thank you for coming on today.
Thank you
It's a
guys
good
for having me.
conversation. Yep.
Fun as always, Rob.
You have something you want to say?
Entertaining.
No, I was just going to say
Another one.
thanks everybody. That was all I was going for. I thought you were going to do the shout off, so I was going to point as you were doing
Gotcha.
it, but nope.
Very good. Yes, thank you to everybody that did watch this. We will be back on Thursday as well, 9 a.m. We have a clip from the Festival of Trees. We sat down with Amanda Olson, talked about that. We're going to be showing some of that on Thursday, and then you can see the full episode on Friday. A lot of fun stuff that they do over there at the Festival of
Without a
Trees,
doubt.
November 21st and 22nd. And in there, I said that I would do a 5K in a reindeer suit if Kyler does.
Yeah, I'm like that.
Can I ask a question now with regard to the reindeer suit?
Yeah.
Have we specified?
I already have it.
What, you bought the suit?
So is it?
No,
is
I have-
is
I
it
had
one
them
of-
forever.
So let me ask you:
Yeah.
Is
Is it gonna
one
fit
of,
me?
Is it one of the pajama type zip up onesie things?
Yeah.
Or is it one of the inflatable
No, not
ones?
inflatable.
I want to see you do it in the
kinda
inflatable
do it
reindeer
in the
costume
inflatable.
5K.
Am I
That'd
going
be
to fit in
incredible.
the pajama thing?
You know, I'll let you off. You don't even have to do it in a suit. You just have to do the 5K, and I'll do it in a reindeer pajama suit. That'll be so sweaty. But anyways, it's up to you, buddy.
I have to see the clip first. I'll commit to it on
Sounds good.
Thursday.
On Thursday, we will be showing that clip, and then on Friday, the full episode release. It'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, make sure that you mark off November 21st and 22nd on your calendars for the Festival of Trees. Thanks for watching this episode of Minot Talk here at the Dakota. Again, we'll be back tonight, 8 p.m.